As I bring before you the teacher of the morning, Rosh Naphtali ben Dan ben Yisrael, Baruch haba.
Shavuna. May the words of my lips and the meditation of my mind be acceptable before you, O Yah, my rock and my redeemer. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
First and foremost, giving all honor and glory, praise and acknowledgement to the God of our forefathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Yitzchak, the God of Yisrael, Yehovah by name. Due respect to the leader of D.C.B, Chief Prince Yediel Ben Yissaskar.
Amen.
To all of the men of the council, men, women, and children within the sound of my voice, I bid you all in the tongue of my forefathers, Shabbat Shalom, Shalom Lakam.
Shabbat Shalom, Shalom Lakam.
Torah Rabbah. How y'all doing today?
So,
God is good.
amen.
God is enduring. God is merciful. God has been blessing us and doing the portion of our promise that he said he was going to keep.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to do ours.
That's right.
Whew. You know, this portion that we read, right, called Wayera, meaning God appeared. And it's funny the ways that the Most High God chooses to appear. You know, I've been, not me, the world has been watching this whole Kyrie situation.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the things that happen in situations like this, it's not just about the person that goes through it. It's about the people who are critical of the people that go through things like this and have been critical of people that have gone through things like this throughout the years. I'm reminded when Muhammad Ali joined the Nation of Islam and was fighting, and people wanted to take away his championship, and people got in the ring with him. You know, there were people that were, even though these were two black men fighting, there were people that were pro Muhammad Ali and pro whoever else he was fighting because they didn't like Muhammad Ali.
Right. Talk about it.
And I love Muhammad Ali. They come in the ring and start calling him, I'm going to call him Cassius Clay. And you know what that is to a man that changes his life and dedicates himself to God, and you call him by his government?
Right.
That's totally disrespectful. In New York, we got Israelites, 5%, we got all types of people that change their name. You got the nerve to call Shamik the God, Jamel,
That's
or
right.
whatever it is, Richard.
Yeah.
They'll get upset because this is part of culture. When we try to change our lives, we don't just transform the way we live. We transform name, transform the way we dress. Our characters begin to change. We started to do different things. So I loved it, and this is before my time. But when Muhammad Ali fought and he was punching homeboy, he said, "What's my name? What's my name?" And he was ripping, "What's my name?"
Mm-hmm.
So this is why we, and I love Shaq. I love Shaq. I'm gonna be honest with you, I love Shaq. But brother, you have to take the time before you're so quick to badger your brother.
That's right.
And criticize your brother. Because at the end of the day, that's your brother. Them fools ain't related to you. That's your brother.
That's right.
That be.
And like the minister said, Minister Farrakhan did an excellent job.
That's right.
And when the minister talks, I listen.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Chief Kohat. I know you was calling me in the morning. Ima Hana got me because she texted and told me, he's going to be doing the speech, whatever. I don't know, I may get fired. I was in the job watching. I was like, this. If you don't like it, it's what it is.
Yes.
The minister made a statement that I felt that was very vital to who and what we are. Hopefully, I still have it here. Minister Farrakhan said, and quote, I could see my brother, meaning Kyrie. He's not thinking about hating anybody.
That's right.
He's thinking about learning more about himself because we are tired of being what others have made us.
That's right.
We must become ourselves again. So he's saying a lot of people don't know about being a Hebrew, but they know about being a Negro.
Right.
So when you hear that message and you hear him trying to tell our own kind, when it comes to your brother, you may have some issues or differences or whatever, but when it's your brother, you don't berate him in the public.
Come on.
Because that's your brother.
That's right.
Talk about
You
it.
don't let the adversary see our levels of division because we're still brothers and sisters.
That's right. Come on, Chief.
This is a long-time condemnation that I have with Israel as well. Because Israel like to say, well, you know, why are we not unified, whatever, because you choose to embarrass me in front of the world, but still want to shake my hand at the end of the day. That can't work.
Talk about it. That's the facts.
If I'm your brother, then my dignity counts just as much as yours.
That's right.
My respect, my self-respect counts.
That's right. No respect.
But what I can say this day, that I'm proud of black people. I'm proud of how we are rallying around Kyrie. I'm proud of how we are getting at those people because it ain't that you disagree. We disagree all the time.
Right.
You have the right to disagree. But it's how you disagree.
That's right.
Is what we have a problem with.
That's right.
It's how you call a grown man an idiot
Right.
and you don't pick up a book.
Right.
I'm not even going to talk about Barkley. He's the most ignorant fool on the planet. And you got a nerve. People want to learn. People, you know, and how sometimes people learn. You know, babies, when they get up and they start to walk, they stumble a couple of times before they get a good stride. But then when they get that stride, you can't tell them nothing, right? Around, picking on stuff, getting everything, whatever, because they got that stride now. And he's trying to learn of himself. And he made a statement that went over everybody's head. Where were you guys
That's right. When I
when
was,
I was young and I'm trying to learn about, and this is, so the criticism now becomes, you know, if I'm trying to learn, even if I make mistakes, I got the right to make mistakes because I come from an American curriculum that taught me nothing about myself.
Come on.
Shoot, American curriculum didn't even teach nothing about white folks. Everything that this American curriculum taught was a lie. But now in trying to search out and find things, you know, you have the condemnation happening. But I would just want to say that at the end of the day, we are responsible for one another. There's a turning point that's happening when God appears and God just appears to Abraham to give him some information. Because we don't know how many times God actually talked to Abraham, but we know what was written, and it wasn't too much. It wasn't too many times that God wouldn't actually have conversations with Abraham.
Right.
But when those conversations happened, Abraham paid attention because that was part of the basis of being a man of faith. At the end of the day, Israel, nobody likes you, and we all we got. So we have to support one another. There's some people say, hey, you know, with Kanye, even with Kanye, I don't agree with what Kanye does. Because Kanye, you know, one day he'll say something off, and then he'll say something intelligent, and, you know, one day you're wearing a MAGA hat. Now you're talking about you know who you are. You know, and but I don't have a problem with what you're saying, right? When you're speaking up and you don't want people to control you, I get that part. But as a man that tries to thrive for a level of consistency, especially when it comes to my learning, I have to be consistent. I have to look at people in a consistent manner. That's why some people look at like, you know, I don't like this person. It's not that I don't. If a person has a leader and he's not consistent in his leadership, why would I follow him? I need you to be consistent if you want to call me and be a bridge between me and the Most High God. I need you to be consistent.
That's right.
If you had a husband that wasn't consistent, a wife that wasn't consistent, you would have the same problem. If you had kids that wasn't consistent, say, listen, I don't need you to be getting B's and C's and D's on your report card one semester and A's the other semester. I need you to be consistent. Because if there's a problem, I need to find out.
Right.
If you're dyslexic or whatever the case is, I need you to be consistent. Not badgering you, but I need you to be consistent. So if you can do better, then do better. Don't do what you want to do. So I want to get into this portion of Wayera. I may not get through all of the portion. There's some part of it that I may just not skip over, but just do a brief on. But I want to unpack some very important things in this portion that are relevant to us today and are relevant to us, that will be relevant to us in our future. And hopefully the Most High allow us revelation and all the things that he provides us when it comes to this Torah. So let's go to the book of Genesis chapter 18, verse 1.
Genesis chapter 18, verse 1. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And Jehovah appeared unto him by the terebinths of Mamre, as he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood over against him. And when he saw them...
It said men, right? At the end of the day, they were messengers because they came to deliver a message. But at the end of the day, he saw 3 men. Tamshi.
And looked, and lo, 3 men stood over against him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed down to the earth and said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let now a little water be fetched, and wash your feet, and recline yourselves under the tree. And I will fetch a morsel of bread, and stay ye your heart. After that ye shall pass on.
I want to ask a rhetorical question. How did Abraham know these men were special? I mean, if I saw 3 men walking towards me, I'd probably pull out the jammy. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's good? What you want? Right? How did you know that these men were special? And I always thought, oh, they had a different look, and they had this, and they had this. It had nothing to do with that.
Right.
It was Abraham. It was Abraham. I want to discuss these 3 principles of Abraham, right? All of these principles will start with a C. This first principle that Abraham had was called consciousness. What is consciousness? It's being awoke, being aware, having an understanding of what's around you. So when you see 3 men walk towards you, these ain't regular dudes. And oftentimes when it comes to consciousness, most of us, will not admit it, but most of us are asleep. We don't know how to pick wives. We don't know how to pick husbands. We don't know how to pick friends. We don't know what camp to go to. We don't know what religion to join because we are asleep. We have a tendency not to be aware because we are, like Moriosa would say, savages in the pursuit of happiness. We're trying to, fulfill emotional need, or we're trying to tantalize ourselves. We're trying to entertain ourselves, but most of us are not trying to learn. You don't want to get to a point where everything in your life is about numbing. I need to drink because I need to numb. I need to have sex because I need to numb. I need to do this because I need to numb. I want to feel important because I need to numb. I want to put myself on social media 5 times because I need to numb. Sometimes you need to be woke. Anesthesia is good sometimes. It's good. You going under the knife, you're good to have anesthesia. But sometimes you need to feel some pain so you can remember what that situation feels like. Because pain makes a marker in the brain. I know some of y'all beat y'all kids because y'all sadistic. gonna kick him in the back next time. But the reason why you need to beat kids so that they can remember not to do certain things. Right. Sometimes it's, they stuck their finger in a socket, right? And they get shot. You don't want that to happen because you don't want the circumstance to be worse. Something bad, right? But if they don't get shocked, you want to make sure that you give them a little pinch or a spanking or whatever. Not savagely, but you want them to remember that's something that you don't do.
Right.
So you want them to have a pain imprint inside their mind. Not a trauma imprint.
Right.
Because some of us don't know the difference. You want them to have a pain imprint inside their mind. Sometimes if they do and they do get shot or burnt, you don't beat them. You say, you see what happens when you don't listen to what I tell you? Mm-hmm. That's also a pain imprint. And that pain imprint will come with a little bit of trauma because now they remember like, oh man, I listened to my mother one day and I put my hand on the stove because I wanted to see what happens if I put my hand on the stove for a long time, whatever, and I got this mark right here that I got for the rest of my life. They see it. They can tell their kids about it because this is a example of what happens when you don't listen.
Right.
So with Abraham's mind state, Abraham had a different mentality when it came to being in the surrounding. And we're going to read about the contrast between his mind state and his nephew's mind state. And the reason why you see certain things happening with his nephew and certain things happening with Abraham. Remember what happened with Abraham and his nephew. Their herdsmen strove with one another, right? And Abraham was intelligent enough to see this is separation time. Right. I don't want y'all to start thinking that separation is a bad thing. Sometimes separation is a necessity. That's right. It's a separation time. Why? Because our character, and that's the second aspect of the Abrahamic principle I want you to understand, is that it's an issue with character. Abraham had a different type of character than a lot of people that were around him, even his own nephew. You know, look and see, and he gave his nephew first choice. Why did he give his nephew just first choice? Because Abraham was a man that understood that regardless of where I go and what I do, God is going to be with me. Secondly is the decision that his nephew made. The first thing his nephew saw was, oh, this land looks good, this land looks better, whatever the case may be, I'm going to go here. It's not always about what looks good to the human eye, because the place you went to was filled with a bunch of savages and animals. That's why when we're trying to tell you money is not everything, integrity is more important. Because integrity lasts. Money comes and goes. Dignity is more important than that.
That's right.
I ain't going to say nothing about, I don't want to talk about support Kyrie because I don't want to lose these monies and these funds and don't mean nothing. Our brother Takeoff died at 28 years old. He was a millionaire. They say his cadence and all, they revolutionized rap, but he died on some. There's different things coming out now that people just didn't like them because they were jealous of them. On some hate. Not over a dice game, because the dice game, you lose your money in the dice game, you got to go to a dice game knowing that you're going to lose money. Everybody not going to win in the dice game. It's like going to Vegas. You're going to lose money. If you win, that's great. But at the end of the day, he wasn't even gambling. He was just there, and he lost his life. So my point is, when you look at these principles that Abraham had with him, his frequency as a man was different. Yes. He said to his own nephew, hey, listen, we can't, for our peace, for the sake of our peace, you go that way, I'll go this way. No, we meet up at the end. When his nephew got into that trouble with the 5 kings that got kidnapped, Abraham was there for him. I'm not going to stop loving you. I'm not going to stop fighting you. But we on different paths right now.
Right.
That's all right. That's all right. Sometimes it's what's necessary for you to do. It's necessary for you to do that so that you can have your peace and your prosperity.
Yes.
It doesn't make you take away from anybody else because you're on that path. Some things we need to do. Some things as an organization we need to do. Told out for, we're piloting some things. I put out our first little commercial. Told out for everybody that shared and watched and viewed, whatever the case may be. But we're trying because we have to, we notice that we have to boost certain things that we're doing so that a positive message can get out. Because now they're looking at a standard of what an Israelite is, and they're only seeing people that talk about the Edomite as the white man and hate, and we're going to bash the babies against the wall and this and all that stuff like that, when there's a bigger picture to what we are. What Farrakhan said is very important. We need to start becoming ourselves again. And we don't know what we look like.
Yeah. Talk about it. Talk about it.
That's why we fight, because some Israelites, they like the streets more than they like the truth. They want to be aggressive because they've been robbed of their strength. And I'm going to mention this. I was going to mention it later, but I'm going to talk about it now. Dr. DeGrasse's book, right, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndromes, she talked about this issue of respect and why black people are so sensitive to respect that even when I'm disrespected, I will kill you if you disrespect me or at a hint of disrespect. When the people are disrespected so long, the human body is sensitive to all of that spirit, right? Why is the human body sensitive to it? Because we have these things called hormones, right? We got hormones that trigger because of fear. We have hormones that trigger because of anxiety. We have hormones that trigger because we see things that are trauma. We have hormones. And those hormones may actually transfer to certain things. So when we're talking about buck breaking, Maury and Rhino were talking about they whipped the biggest slave and stuff like that. They actually did more than just whip them, right? Buck breaking, you got some masters that actually rape a man in front of people, right? And the part of it, that's one thing, right? You weaponize your member and rape another man, right? And in your mind, it's not a homosexual act because you're doing it for economic reasons. So you're raping a man in front of people, and mainly in front of women. Everything had to be done either in front of women or pregnant women. Why? Because so that the dignity will fall down to the ground. So you rape them. Or you gang rape them. One thing is for that action to happen, and one thing is to see the result after he's raped. When he's in the corner and he's crying and he's shivering, he's going crazy or he's losing his mind, that's the result is what they're looking for. Second part of buck breaking, this is the part that most of us didn't live through. Black person was accused of doing something. Oh, he looked at a white woman wrong. He did this or whatever the case may be. They would not only hang him, but they would castrate him. They would make certain to castrate him and make sure that they didn't just castrate him, but they hung these members in certain places. There are even places now that they have men's testicles and stuff in jars. Yeah, you see that? That's Obadiah stuff right there. We killed him in 7 so-and-so, in 18 so-and-so, whatever the case may be, and because he looked at a white woman wrong. And it had nothing to do with that. It's about the example. When cows are killed, and we talk about kosherizing and killing animals a certain way, it's very important that you kill animals a certain way, and if you can't kill them a certain way, you have to drain that blood. What happens when you kill a certain animal? These animals in these farms, right? They go and they kill the animals, and a lot of the animals hear the crying and the slaughter of other animals. So they grow these fear hormones in their body that are toxic. So when we use the word toxic, it's not idle. It's not an idle word we just throw around. I know some people, they start throwing around, toxic male, toxic masculinity. I know people don't know what they're talking about. Toxic is a real thing. They see this fear hormone happening, and the animal will hear these cries or the stuff that's going on, and they exert a certain hormone because of fear that's toxic, and it's in the blood. So you really have to get rid of that blood because that blood becomes toxic if you eat it. Humans have that same hormone. It is the same hormone that tenses you up when you get into a certain situation. That's the hormones that's going inside your body. Fight or flight is an actual hormone.
Yeah. Yep.
And you will tense up. Trust me, I know when I get into arguments, you feel it. You be like, you know, if you come closer, it's going to be a wrap. It's going to be something. You know what I mean? So in that process, and they learn to exhibit that, imagine the pregnant woman who is, because whatever she deals with, the child deals with.
Yeah.
So if she exerts these hormones, the children exert these hormones, so they learn to be afraid before they even come out the womb. Right. Oh, this slave master knew what he was doing. Very powerful, very cunning. He knew what he was doing. So now we know as a result, and you're like, why are you? Because it's imprinted in our minds. But at the same time, we are taught to have disrespect, disregard, ill will, ill favor, wickedness, nastiness, discord amongst our own kind. That's why we see in the Kyrie situation, like, you don't see what you're doing, Shaq. You don't see what you're doing when the first thing you say out your mouth is you call your brother an idiot.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The first thing that comes out your mouth, you don't even give it time, like, you know, well, you know what? It's different. Let me call Kyrie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let me call Kyrie. One person, Kennedy J. Smith, which is related to his godfather, something like that. He said, I hear what everybody's saying, but if a person tells you that the reason that they posted the documentary is the reason why they posted the documentary, I have to take them at their word unless I see something otherwise.
That's right.
If Kyrie had a track record of hating Jews, then I can see him being anti-Semitic if he posted that. He has no track record of hating Jews. He has no track record of hating anybody. So now you post it, and all of a sudden, he's anti-Semitic because he's doing research. You know, they don't think Negroes read. They don't think we have sense. You know, how many of y'all drive Fords? I know one brother in here got a Ford. He got a Ford, right? Brother in here with a Ford. Ford cars. Ford was a vehement anti-Semite. And I say quote unquote anti-Semite. But he hated Jews. Wrote whole things about Jews and protocols of the Elder Zion, all types of stuff, and whole books about Jews, the Jewish problem, and all types of stuff like that. But people still drive Fords. And it's okay to drive Fords. Now, either way, I don't care whether you drive a Ford or not. You decide to boycott Ford tomorrow, go ahead and do it. But my point is, leave my brother alone. Because he's not that. He's never proclaimed that. And he's not going to own it. And this is what you want him to do. You want him to own something that he's not. Right. He can apologize for hurting people, but you want him to own a label that he's not. And I'm a quick person to say that. People try to say, well, such and such and such about, I'm not owning that label. Because I know that's not me.
Right.
That's what you want me to be. Right. But that's not me. I'm not going to own a label that's not me. It's not my spirit. It's not my character. It looks good on the outside for you to say that about me, because you got an argument up against people. You want them to be fashioned the way you want them to be fashioning, but that's not who I am. So, if that's not Kyrie, let's not put that label on him. Let's not disrespect him in that manner. Let's not insult him by calling him an idiot because he decided to pick up a book or read a documentary and you don't do anything. Right. Don't care about anything. You know, you got some Negroes that are so loose inside their minds. You know, they really only care about sensationalism and dying. That's it. They have no higher purpose outside of indulgence. Everybody's not here to entertain. and to make you happy and to shuck and jive and jump around and smile with their white teeth, and everybody's not for that. God makes us different sometimes for a reason. God made the Nat Turners of this world.
That's right.
The Martin Luther King, the Marcus Garveys, the Malcolm X's. He made them, and he picks them out. And every so often, somebody that you tried to suppress comes up.
Mm-hmm.
But this is God's people. We are the children of Moses, the men that spoke to God face to face. We are the children of Abraham that kept his promise to God that we're going to read about. Even when it came to him killing his own child, he was going to do it. Yeah, I know we produce a lot of buck dancing, back broken, buck broken Negroes. I know we do. Sell out, ignorant Negroes. We produce a lot. Excuse me, they produce a lot.
There you go.
But all of us ain't part of that program.
That's right.
All of us ain't built the same. Trust me. So when she talked about this disrespect and us being sensitive to disrespect, there's a whole process with us that, you know, at one time you couldn't step in my shoe.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because my value as a man was in my white sneakers. So you step on my shoe, I would kill you. I would shoot you. You remember those times in New York?
Mm-hmm.
You step on somebody's shoe, we would kill you
it's a
for
problem.
stepping on my shoe. There's no, excuse me, bro, I'm sorry. Or pardon me, just small little things. Small little things that put us on edge. And we're always on edge when it comes to one another. Yeah. And it's just funny to me that you're on edge with your brother, but you run for police.
Yeah.
No sirens happen, you out. You out, and you think, listen. And I say to myself, Martin Luther King had no problem with going to jail. They would take, they'd take King, and he'd be all up against the car door and everything. He know he was going to jail. He had no problem with going to jail.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't scared to go to jail. And he's a Christian. He wasn't scared to go to jail. But us, we fear the jail more than we feel killing our own brother. Assassinating the character of one another. Those things don't faze us. Because there is a psychological problem with how we think about one another. That we refuse to recognize as a people, and that they're not going to grant us healing for. Mm-hmm. Certain things you got to clearly understand. We are on our own. Mm-hmm. When it comes to our healing, we're on our own. Right. There's nobody that's going to save us from us trying to be better towards one another. That's something that we have to do for our own selves. Right. They're not going to sit us down and say, why don't y'all Negroes just get along and stop killing one another? Everybody be okay. You've never heard them say that before. They talk about how crime is a problem. Crime is a problem. Crime is a big problem. Crime is a problem. Especially in the inner cities and in the ghettos and stuff like that. It's a problem. But you are at the root of the problems that we have.
That's right. And music too.
Those problems start as soon as you send your kids to elementary school. And they learn everything about everything and everybody else but except themselves. Those problems start as soon as they start listening to the music that tells them, got my guy. Every video. Yeah. They're doing the same. Everybody doing the same thing. Right. That's right. You singing songs with guns in your hands. War is different. If you at war, it's different. You're not at war. You're in front of your house. They be in front of their house. They be in the hallway of the projects. Yeah. Talking about everybody in the video camera, dudes, if they don't got a gun, they still squeeze their hand like this. Pow, pow, and option, and they drilling and they think and they talk about this and how they disrespecting the women and, I'm disrespecting not even the woman, I'm disrespecting your girl. Everything is about conflict, confusion. And that's the diet, the steady diet of violence and hatred amongst the people that don't know how to get along. And I say to myself, Every time somebody comes along to gather us together, Huey P., Fred Hampton, anytime somebody comes along, you either destabilize the organization or kill a leader. You do something. But anytime it comes for us trying to get back to one another, there's a problem. So is our unity a problem? Of course it is.
Yes, it is.
I'm telling you a secret.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
The greatest fear. The greatest fear.
When we get along, we are unstoppable. Can't stop us when we get along. So I want us to understand the mind state of being conscious, because sometimes we don't know that we have these problems, and we even in the nation, we walk around and we act like we don't have issues. You got issues, Israelite. Which is easy's on or which is easy's off. You got issues. And you come to God because you should be able to recognize these issues. This is not about your popularity amongst people and how well you teach and the dress you got on, and that means nothing if your character is not right. So follow our Father, because our Father knew what it was to have a righteous character. Let's continue, because I'm not going to make it.
And I will fetch, verse 5, chapter 18, verse 5. And I will fetch a morsel of bread and stay ye your heart, after ye shall pass on. For as much as ye are come to your servant, and they said, so do as thou hast said.
So I want you to, I know Yishon talked about the comparison is between the child and the child that was born then. The comparison is much deeper that the Torah had. The whole issue of respect and hospitality is drowning in both of these portions, right? He sees strangers, and he was aware that these men were different, and the first thing he does is what? Fetch food. And usually in certain societies, he's a man that has a lot of servants. That means he has a lot of cooks. He has a wife that can cook. But in this instance, he put his hand to the task because it was something a little bit better, like, you know. And when it comes to certain things, when it comes to the Most High God, it ain't about what everybody else does or what somebody can do for you. It's what you need to do. What you need to do. So he's going to fetch these morsels. He's going to start making some food for these men. Tamshi.
And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarah and said, make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes. And Abraham ran unto the herd and fetched the calf tender and good, and gave it unto the servant, and he hastened to dress it. And he took curd and milk and the calf which he had dressed, and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. And they said unto him, where is Sarah thy wife? And he said, behold, in the tent. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee when the season cometh around, and lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. And Sarah heard in the tent door which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age, and had ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. And Sarah laughed within herself, saying, after I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord being old also? And Jehovah said unto Abraham, wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I of a surety bear a child, who am old? Is anything too hard for Jehovah? At the set time I will return unto thee when the season cometh round, and Sarah shall have a son. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laugh not. For she was afraid, and he said, nay, but thou didst laugh. And the men rose up from thence and looked out towards Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. And Jehovah said, shall I hide from Abraham that which I am doing? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him.
So the messenger, and as I said, I don't know if these men were supernatural, but they did eat food like regular people. Decided to impart some information that Abraham would want to know. I'm not going to hide, or shall I hide anything that I'm about to do, because what I'm about to do is great, and it's going to affect him. Tamshi.
19. For I have known him to the end that he may command his children and his household after him, that he may keep the way of Jehovah, to do righteousness and justice, to the end that Jehovah may bring upon Abraham that which he has spoken of him. And Jehovah said, verily the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and verily their sin is exceeding grievous. I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which is come unto me. And if not, I will know. And the men turned from thence and went toward Sodom, but Abraham stood yet before Jehovah. And Abraham drew near and said, Will thou indeed sweep away the righteous with the wicked?
So I want to stop there because Sodom and Gomorrah's reputation was big.
Yeah.
So when Abraham is saying that, he already knew what time it was.
Right.
He was like, you sweep the righteous away, and he knows his nephews down there. And he knew what goes down there. And when it talks about the cry that comes to me, right? I had because I know most of us like, yeah, because they were homosexuals and stuff like that. And I talked with Chief Naphtali one day, our teacher, Chief Naphtali, may the Most High bless his memory. I asked him, there were a lot of different people in the old cultures that practiced homosexuality. Like, what was different about them that God actually had to come down and pay them a visit? You had the Greeks, you had all types of people back then. He said they weren't just like homosexuals. They were rapists and pirates. Like, they will actually see strangers. And now it makes sense when you see the rest of the story. We're gonna get into it. But they see strangers, and they'll rape you, rape your mother, your father, your daughter. They rape everybody, take your goods. That's what they were. That was their culture. That was their lifestyle. I even read somewhere this week that they actually had stuff like that written into their culture. That it's okay to go and do stuff to people because that's how they live. And I'm not surprised because there's a lot of cultures that are like that. So when you hear the cries of the people that were their victims. And that's what God is hearing. The victimization. So it doesn't pay to do wicked, because if anybody goes and cries unto God, you're going to pay.
That's right.
You read that in our law? He said, don't do bad by the widow and the fatherless, because if they cry to me, I'm going to hear them. And I'm going to pay you a visit. God tells us, y'all are going to go into slavery. Y'all going to go into slavery, yeah, because of the idol worship and the other stuff that y'all did, stuff that you did. But y'all are going to go into slavery because look how y'all treat one another. Y'all made your own brothers and sisters slaves. You deserve to go to slavery. So you can see how it feels to be oppressed again. But Abraham, being a man of character, put himself out there to pray as much as he could,
Right.
for the sake of his own blood, his kin, his nephew. Lot is all he had left. Haran died, which is Lot's father. Terah died on the way at Haran, the place called Haran. All he had was Lot. And he loved Lot. And I don't want you to think that Lot was a maliciously wicked man. But character is also based on the decisions as a man or a woman that you make. And that's often the thing we don't think about. What type of decisions do you make? You looking at what looks good and not what's right. So in this situation, Abraham knows what's going down. Why? Because Abraham is conscious. He knows all of this ain't about just him coming and having a seed, because he was told that already. So that's not nothing new.
Right.
This is a new thing that's going on. Am I not going to hide from Abraham what I'm about to do? And the messenger told him, listen, these people are wicked. I'm going to go down and see, and the type of seeing that the angel about the messenger is talking about has nothing to do with looking, because they are already aware of what's going down. The type of seeing that's going to happen is when we say in the streets, I'm going to see you.
That's right.
Right? When person says I'm going to see you, they saying I'm going to do something about this, right? I'm going to do something. That's the type of I'm going to see you that they're talking about. Nah, yeah, I'm going to be seeing you. You know, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to take care of this situation. That's the type of seeing metaphorically that it's referring to, not just I'm going to lay my eyes on a situation because God sees all things and everything. He knows what's going on. That's why he's paying the visit. So with this whole process happening, Abraham begins to start his negotiation to advocate for his nephew, Tamshik.
Peradventure there are 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou indeed sweep away and not forgive the place for the 50 righteous that are therein? That be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, so that the righteous should be as the wicked. That be far from thee. Shall not the judge of all the earth do justly? And Jehovah said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will forgive all the place for their sake. And Abraham answered and said, behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto Jehovah, who am but dust and ashes. Peradventure there shall lack 5 of the 50 righteous. Wilt thou destroy all the city for the lack of 5? And he said, I will not destroy if I find there 40 and 5. And he spoke unto him yet again and said, peradventure there shall be 40 found there. And he said, I will not do it for the 40's sake. And he said, oh, let not Jehovah be angry, and I will speak. Peradventure there shall 30 be found there. And he said, I will not do it if I find 30 there. And he said, behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto Jehovah. Peradventure there shall be 20 found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for the 20's sake. And he said, oh, let not Jehovah be angry, and I will speak yet but this once. Peradventure shall be found there, and he said, peradventure 10 shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for the 10's sake. And Jehovah went his way as soon as he had left off speaking to Abraham, and Abraham returned unto his place.
So I want to break down that part because it's pivotal, right?
Right.
First thing, y'all know where Moshe got it from.
Right.
It's in the genes. Mm-hmm. There's some men that just know how to pray.
That's a fact.
Before God. And God is actually having mercy before this whole situation happened. God is having mercy upon life. Because you're going to read something later that shows you that that mission was basically a rescue mission.
Yeah. That's exactly what it was.
You're getting a glimpse not only of Moshe's character, but who God is and the level of God's mercy. If you are arguing for a whole city and you start off with 50 people, and God tells you, man, if there was 50 people I could find that were good enough to save, I would save the whole city.
Right.
I want y'all to think about that. Down to 10.
Down to 10.
Your righteousness is incumbent upon you keeping Torah. But the value of your righteousness, not just in Torah, but amongst the community itself,
Talk about it.
means a lot to the community itself. We need as much righteous people as we can get. Right. As much Torah people as we can get. Torah-minded people. We need as much good people as we can get. Because everybody's not going to find out about this at the same time. Right. You may not be a Torah observer as soon as you walk inside here because you're learning. Right. Can't do what you don't know. Right. But you come in here, you're learning, but your heart is in the right place. Right. So when God is talking, when Abraham is talking and God is answering him, that's not me. I'm not the God that just kills up everybody and then sorts them out later. Mm. I'm telling you that if there were enough people there that were doing the right thing, doing what's right, or worth saving, I would save them. I would save the whole city for the sake of those little bit of people. Amen. And I need you to think about that when it comes to us as a people. Just don't follow everything that everybody else do. I'm sick of that. Oh, so-and-so do it. So-and-so jumps off rules.
That's a fact.
So-and-so speeds at 90 minutes an hour with Yeezys on. So-and-so does a lot. What they got to do with you? So when you decide to do right, because a lot of people are affected by the right that you do. Don't you think that your mother and your father that don't keep this Torah, your family members that don't keep this Torah, and you pray for them, right. The Most High somehow listens to your prayers? Right. He does. Because how it would affect you the same way it would affect Abraham if Lot was gone. Like, nah, that's my servant. I consider how he feels at the end of the day. I consider what he thinks about at the end of the day. I consider that. That's what it means to be in a partnership with God.
Mm-hmm.
We don't understand it because, you know what? We are in covenant. But there's something different with Abraham. Remember what he called Abraham? He called Abraham my friend. If you know what the meaning of a friendship is, because a lot of us don't know, it's a deeper bond that you have. And in Hebrew, the word for friend can translate as my love. And you know how we talk in the street? Yo, that's my man, son.
Mm-hmm.
That's my man. That's my dog. I remember one day I was talking about Rock. May the Most High bless his memory. Rocky Ben Cohen Levy Ben Levy. I was like, yo, that man is welcome in all my house. Why? Because Rock always look out. And everybody else is acting with Rock, yo, Nath, you good? You good? You chilling? Whatever the case may be. That's the type of person he was. And we had that relationship. Mainly because he was that cool with my sister as well. But he's always look out. Always, like always. There was never a time I go to places and people be passing me by and stuff like that, whatever the case may be. That one, and you remember people like that. You remember people that took out the time. You know, these guys was too young. You know what I mean? They just running around being Mexican Rock. Rock was older. You know what I'm saying? So it's different. You know what I'm saying? He looked out like an older brother would look out. That was his spirit. Like, yo, Nap, you good? Well, no, whatever the case may be. You eating, just whatever case, what you got, he would always be that person. So I told brothers one day, I said, yo, that man is welcome in all my house, man. If I got it, he got it. That's you know what I mean? Not that it's not like that with other brothers, but that was our relationship. So when you understand our level of friendship that God had when it came to Abraham, you know, I will let Abraham bargain with me for his nephew. I'll give him that right to do that. And Abraham, being a friend to God, knows how to be respectful. Why are you going to do that for? Come on, man. You know everybody around there ain't bad. You know, he could say it a different way. Because some of us is not what we're asking for, is how we ask for. Right? We don't know how to talk. We talk to God in the right way. Pre-adventure, y'all, let me come before you this other time. And God is seeing the conflict and the distress in the spirit when he's asking. He's not asking with arrogance. He's asking like, and he's not even mentioning Lot. He's mentioning a circumstance that will allow Lot to be considered. That's it. Right. If there were at least 50, let's say there was 45. 45, this is 45. Would you destroy the whole city for 45 good people that are trying to do the right thing? God is telling you, listen, Abraham, if there were 45 people in there, I wouldn't touch it.
Yeah.
If there's enough good people in any place, God is not going to bring that place down. That's why we have to, when God says stuff like, pray for the place that you're in, even if we're in America, we got to pray for this place because we don't want to be swept away with the destruction of the place. If it's time for us to have the Exodus, God, when you tell me to do your thing, just get us out first. Get us out first. And then do what you got to do. Because now it's like, I'm not going to lie to you. I've always been scared of the Most High. I honor him, I respect him, I love him. But he makes you, if you understand his power, everybody don't understand. He will make you, those that serve him and understand his power will make you afraid. And you need to learn how to be afraid sometimes. And the stuff that I'm seeing, listen. And God appeared, right? That hurricane, I'm even talking about the last storm that happened. That storm that happened in Florida, I'm like, and it's something with my spirit, like, I don't want to get used to stuff like this, but it seems like I'm going to have to because it's keep on happening. More frequent, one after the other. The other day they said there was 90 tornadoes that touched down between Texas, Kansas, and another state. I'm like, it's just happening. It's just happening. And, you know, all the prognosticators and scientists that we have to forewarn us about things that are coming, nothing is working now. They showed this thing that happened at this last storm. There was a beach there. I don't want to laugh because it's not funny. There was a beach there, and that beach is gone. So imagine you had a beachfront house and everything like that, and they showed the picture. They just had a house, and it was like a cliff. And then when they went back, they didn't even have a house. God is doing his thing. And I'm getting you to understand that these are things that are out of people's control. Nuclear bombs. I'm not even worried about Kim Jong-il. I'm not worried about China. I'm not worried about Putin. I'm worried about the Most High. That's y'all. Y'all worried about what man going to do, whatever the case may be. One guy, his army starving. Other guy, he might get assassinated by his own people. Who knows what's going on with these people? But God is consistent. God is going to do his thing. And we worry. We worried about, oh, there's going to be a World War III. Listen, I'll take that before I take the wrath of God. Because I'm going to be all right. Because men are men. Men are incompetent, stupid, and sloppy. God knows how to get you. God knows how to get you in all circumstances. God knows what you He knows what you need. He knows what's going to hurt you. There's certain things you thought that wasn't going to pain you in your life. You have when you grown men crawling and bawling because he knows what'll hurt you. Dude, your Ema died. Killer Black, what you crying for? Man, my mom's, man. Mom just passed away. But that was your soft point. He knows how to get you. We're going to do 19. I think we may skip 20. Yeah, we're going to do 19 definitely. Tumshi.
Chapter 19, verse 1. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And the two angels came to Sodom at even. And Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot saw them and rose up to meet them. And he fell down on his face to the earth. And
so
he said,
we're going to get this part here too. Lot had character. Lot knew enough that his conscience put him in a space where he was around the wrong people. But he knew enough to say, yeah, I got to look out for these guys because they walking into like a trap or whatever. So, and he understood that these men were different as well. Tumshi.
And he said, behold now, my lords, turn aside, I pray you, into your servant's house and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early and go on your way. And they said, nay, but we will abide in the broad place all night. He urged them greatly. And they turned in unto him and entered into his house, and he made them a feast and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both young and old, all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot, and he said unto him, where are the men that came unto thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them. And Lot went out unto them to the door, and shut the door after him. He said, I pray you, my brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold, now I have two daughters that have not known men. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do you to them as is good in your eyes.
I want to stop there because I know us, we think like, what type of father would give their daughter to the savages?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I had to explain to some people, like, it was, especially in certain cultures, it would be worse to see them be raped as men than to see something happen to a woman, because in our minds, that's what the woman's body is made for. In their minds, is the dignity and the disrespect that will come with another man being raped, and gang raped at that by other men, is something that some people couldn't imagine. So it's not a thing that's good, but it is a lesser of two evils in the mind of the people. Most of us, in our minds, right? Because I'm gonna tell you a secret: a savage is a savage. So it don't matter what you offer the savage. It don't make a difference, right? You offer them 5 daughters, 5 virgins, whatever the case may be. You get them Angela Bassett, Beyonce, and everybody. Hey, they still want the men. Because that's what they was lusting for. If, on average, that happens to most of us, we would probably, in our natural state, go all out. We may die, but we taking some people with us, right? I'm gonna, okay, this is what it is. You're not having them, and you're not having my daughters either. Let's do it. And, you know, part of some thinking is that he was just trying to buy time. You know, I would like to think that he was trying to buy time. But yeah, I'm going to say something also about Lot's decision making and some choices that he made. Bad choice to be down there amongst the atmosphere of people, because culture adapts, is adaptable, and oftentimes you may think that you have the resolve to stay away from certain things, but it ain't all about you. It's about everybody that's around you as
That's
well.
right.
You have to be the leader in your own right, especially as a man. You got a wife, you got kids, there's other things you're responsible for. What happened to all of his servants? Gone, everybody gone. Because of bad decision making. Now you just, and what are you doing in the city? You know what I mean? Now you a city dweller. You wasn't a city dweller before. You were a Bedouin before with your uncle. But now you a city dweller. You in the midst, in the nine, whatever, and you gotta warn people, don't stay out here in the middle. And the message is like, nah, we good. We're gonna stay out here in the middle, whatever the case may be. He's like, no, listen. I am imploring you, do not stay out here. Come to my crib. Be safe, la da 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 da, whatever the case may be. But it's the hospitality that he's showing that is not a characteristic of the people that he's around. Why would you want to be something or have a character and nobody around you has that same character? Why would you want to be around people that don't share the characteristics that you have? Mm-hmm. That's why it does mean something that we live together, y'all. I'm telling y'all something. I know you don't want to, we have to get to that point. Because we have to start to practice our norms. And we can't practice our norms if I'm next door to Jamal bin Abdullah may be good. He may be a good brother, but he's not what I do. It's not what I practice. Shay Shay may be okay too. But Shay Shay, she does what she does. You got to think about all of that stuff. Because one day Shay Shay will knock on your door talking about, me and my husband was smoking weed, and we got into an argument over the coke money, and he slashed me in my face, and this is your neighbor. This is what you're around. And you will be stuck. Okay, should I help the coke dealer? Should I do? You'll be complex because you don't want to, your nature don't want to see anybody harmed or hurt. Your nature wants to be able to help. But you will be in conflict because you don't know what you're getting yourself into or your family. If you have a society of certain norms, you have a society of accountability. That means you may be off, brother, but you hold yourself accountable to this, then you hold yourself accountable to this. That means if I catch you putting your hands on these kids, we can do something, the community could do something about it because you agreed to be around. You said that you serve God and everything like that. I can hold you accountable to that. Can't hold a Negro accountable to nothing. Can you? You can hold a Negro accountable too. I mean, he may have a code. You can hope he have a code, but if he doesn't, he's not in covenant with nobody. Mm-hmm. You hope he got good character. You hope he got discipline. You hope. And that's the last attribute that I want to explain about Abraham. Abraham had this thing called control. Abraham had control over his mouth, control over his actions, control over his attitude. Really self-control, right? Which interprets as discipline. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of us, we love God, but we don't got no discipline. We do anything at any given time, regardless of who it affects. Mm. This is why sometimes we're like, yo, why you don't get along with certain people? Because I don't feel like I have the right to do what I want to do, especially to other people. But some people do. Because I got a chief title next to my name or a prince title next to my name, that don't make anybody else better than anybody else, right, or anybody lower than me. Right. Because we are all accountable to God, and if you don't get that point, then step down. Because the leader is supposed to lead people to be a better part of themselves.
That's right.
Not to cater to their own emotions and what they want.
Mm-hmm.
So these men pressed, and they really pressed him. They really pressed him for some booty. They nasty, and they savage because they were gonna. It wasn't just about them having some type of people like, oh, y'all don't like people that are. No, it's above that. And they try to use this as an example of of hate towards the LGBTQ community and other parts in Torah. But you have to look at what these people were trying to do. They said young and old came. These are just two guys. These are just two guys. They would have died, man.
Yeah.
If this was a normal circumstance, they probably would have died.
Yeah.
Come on. This is a savage act, and they just wanted to take. And this is part of the punishment that God needed to because people were victims of these people. And I want to tell you something. Oftentimes, a lot of these people that you read in this community of Sodom and Gomorrah were victims themselves. And they turned over. This is why you don't do evil, because evil is something that's contagious.
That's a fact.
People were like, well, shoot, they did it to me. Ain't that what molesters say?
All
I
the
was
time.
molested. I ain't think nothing was wrong with it.
Yep.
Shoot, they took mine, took my wife, took everything, robbed me, beat me down, whatever. They start joining the crew. Because they think this is what you do. This is what's okay. This is what being a man is. Trust me, in Japanese culture and in Greek culture, it's common, especially amongst the Spartans and strong warriors. When they go out to train, they bring a boy with them for sexual pleasure. What do you think that boy going to do when he get older? He's going to do the same thing. That's the way we do things here. So when God brought Torah, he brought us to life. Because he knows what the world was doing and what the world was about. Come sheep.
Only unto these men do nothing, for as much as they are come under the shadow of my roof. And they said, stand back. And they said, this one fellow came into sojourn, and he will needs play the judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them?
Conscience, man. Be aware of your surroundings. You are around savages and you want to plead. And they telling you what time it is. You the one blood in the Crit neighborhood.
Yep.
Talking about what? Like, you don't know. I don't care if you're visiting your aunt. You don't get no pass. And they trying to really show you what they think about you. And I want you to understand, being us, Israel and America, what they think about you. We try so hard to assimilate, man, and it'll never work. Because we ain't supposed to be a part of them, and they don't want us to be a part of them. Israel, Jacob shall dwell what? Alone. That means something. We ain't supposed to be everybody's damn friend. It ain't supposed to be that way. God is telling us something with all of the messages that he brings forth in his portion. You are a sojourner amongst us, bro. Bro. Hey, fam. Listen, governor. You're a sojourner amongst us. You don't get a pass when it comes to that. We let you rock. Meaning, they telling them, yo, we could have did the same to you a long time ago. We just don't like you like that. But we could have been had you if we wanted to. And you actually got mouth now, like they really pressing them like on some stuff. And they will kill him. They will kill him because they don't care at this point. Tell sheep.
And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot and drew near to break the door. But the men put forth their hand and brought Lot into the house to them, and the door they shut. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. And the men said unto Lot, hast thou here any besides son-in-law, and thy sons and thy daughters, and whomsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of the place.
There was so much of being dogs in heat that even when they were blind,
Looking for the door.
where them dudes at? Where they at? Where they at? Some shit.
For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxed great before Jehovah. and Yahweh hath sent us to destroy it. And Lot went out and spoke unto his sons-in-law, who married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, for Yahweh will destroy the city. But he seemed unto his sons-in-law as one that jested. And when the morning arose, and the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters that are here, lest thou be swept away in the iniquity of the city. But he lingered, and the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, Yahweh being merciful unto him.
Consciousness. So you had men that you let your daughters marry, who, when you told them about the Most High God coming to destroy this place, laughed at you.
Yeah.
Is it that you didn't believe that God exists? Or do you think that what's going on around you didn't warrant God coming to judge this place? Either or, bad decisions. Tamshik.
And they brought him forth and set him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be swept away. And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my Lord. Behold, now thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy which thou hast shown unto me in saving my life. And I cannot escape to the mountain, lest the evil overtake me and I die. Behold now, this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither, is it not a little one? And my soul shall live. And he said unto him, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow the city of which thou hast spoken. Hasten thou, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou become thither.
I want you to, not you, I want you to recognize these parts that I'm about to read, and so you can get an understanding of what Lot's mind state was. With all the stuff that Lot just went through, right? It said in 16, excuse me, let me go in the middle of 15. The messenger said, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters that are here, lest thou be swept away in the iniquity of the city. 16 said, But he lingered. What are you waiting for? Then he goes and pleads for going to another city. Your mind state should be about getting away.
Right.
Not going to somebody that's going to another city that's close to this one. Because if that city is close to this one, it's close to the attitude and the ways of this one. So he says, Can I go to this one? Because it's a little one. The size is not the issue here. It's the people. It's the character of the people. It's the way the people act. Tamshi.
Therefore was the name of this city was called Zoar. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot came unto Zoar. 24. Then Yahweh caused to rain upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from Yahweh out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities, and that which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt.
So I know we always look at Lot's wife, but Lot looked back first. I want y'all to get that part. The physical thing she did cost her life. But in his heart, he tarried too much. He thought too much about the situation. He argued too much. Can I just go to little one or whatever? And he didn't. The angel is telling you, the messenger telling you to get up and go. You sitting there like you don't know what's going on, like you perplexed about what's happening here. They just tried to rape us, and you don't get it. And we're telling you that God is coming to judge this place, and you're in conflict.
Right.
And that's what you saw with her, in conflict. When it comes to righteousness, brothers and sisters, get your mind right. Don't be in conflict when it comes to the true and living God. And it's hard now because we always got people, we got Israelites always telling you what the other side's supposed to be. You don't got to do this. You don't got to dress like that. You don't got to say Hebrew. You don't got to do whatever. Listen, we come from a lot of evil.
We do.
Evil. A lot of our parents were evil. We don't want to use those words, but we come from a lot of evil. Not purposely evil, but we come from a lot of evil because evil makes evil. If your mama sat in church, she came from idolatry. She may be a good person at heart, but she still got that hanging over her head. Come from the streets, you come from selling drugs, doing drugs. That's evil. And we don't know how to get rid of our evil. When you come to serve God, you have to fight evil every day. I ain't gonna sit there and tell you that I don't got no evil in me. And you a pretender if you're gonna come up and act like you don't got evil in you.
That's a fact.
That's why I'm careful about men that call other men and brothers and sisters wicked. Watch your mouth. Because you gotta fight your demons like I gotta fight mine. And some of y'all demons is much more than mine.
Let me throw that in there.
They got some, yeah, I got to throw it in there because some people, they got some demons.
Demon.
I'm only in this earth for 46 years. And I haven't been out there like that. Some of y'all have. Some of y'all decided even with Jesus on to go out in that world and play. You have to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you have to treat your own kind with respect. Respect God. Respect your brother and your sister.
That's right.
What you would not want done to you, you shouldn't do to nobody else. But I'll even take it a step further. Even if you think these things okay, because some of us, our minds are morbid and twisted, and we're okay with certain things.
Right.
Because a lot of us don't love ourselves, so we
Talk
can't
about
love
it.
nobody else.
Talk about
Think about God with everything that you do.
it.
Because sometimes you take it, I think that's okay, but that's not okay.
It's not.
Not okay to be a dog and to be a undignifier of your own kind.
Mm-hmm.
If you want this nation to be a nation of respect and value, then you have to respect yourself, value yourself, and respect and value the people around you. I'm sorry that I didn't kill 5 people to get your respect. That's not the route that the Most High God wanted me to take. That's not the route that I'm going to take. That's on you. You want to be street, then be street. See what the streets get you. See what the streets got locked. Oh yeah, they out there in the streets too. Don't think that just because they're homosexual that they soft. Everybody ain't just they gay, they soft. Not soft. You go to jail and find that out. You go to jail, not me. You go to jail and find that out. Find that out if you want to find out. But this is what happens. Conflict. And it was a slight decision. She didn't kill nobody but herself. She didn't do nothing that you would think was malicious, but she was given instructions and she did not follow them. Why? Because she was in conflict. Maybe you got that she thought she saw there that wasn't, or maybe something, whatever it was. The remnant of her spirit was left back in Sodom.
Mm-hmm.
That she had to look and view at this time and wanted to see destruction. And sometimes when things are going on, brothers and sisters, mind your business, man. Beeline. Beeline. Sometimes you got a beeline. Cops are shooting out and you want to see what's going on. Shoot out. Keep it pushing before you get the stray bullet.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it pushing. Or at least make it to a safe place. But we always want to know what's going on. Stop being so nosy. Everything ain't for you. If God gets you out of a situation, be happy that you're out of the situation. Tamshi.
And Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he had stood before Yahweh, and he looked out toward Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the land of the plain, and behold, and lo, the smoke of the land went up as the smoke of a furnace. And it came to pass when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot dwelt. And Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountain, and his 2 daughters with him, for he feared to dwell in Zoar. And he dwelt in the cave, he and his 2 daughters. And the firstborn said unto the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the man of all the earth.
You know what I'm bugging out for? Because I want you to think like that bad thinking that Lot had.
Mm-hmm.
See the bad thinking his wife had, and now you see the bad thinking that his children had. Tamshi.
Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night. And the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he knew not when she lay down, nor when she arose.
Okay, so I want to stop here for a second. I'm kind of going to go in the same place. I don't care how drunk I am.
I know that's
Right? I'm just saying. If I had 100 people, I don't care. Bringing nephews
Yeah.
or Long Island, I don't care how drunk I am. Right? Not because I know the only people in my room is my daughters. Right? But I'm not going to venture to say what Lot experiences, that is experience. I am not holding him accountable as much as I'm holding the daughters accountable. right? Because what made you think, without any given research, what type of monster did you have to say, there's nobody in the world no more? Did the messengers tell you that? The messengers told you who they out to get. You have an uncle named Abraham. There's people out there. What's your thinking? And I want you to understand, when you have a certain bad way of thinking, that way of thinking can translate to those who you love. Because they're not thinking, I don't venture to say that they're even thinking. Let me not use the word thinking, right? They operate in the fear and what they think that they can get out of a specific situation. Now, what did you think when your sons got older? Because you want to have sons, you want to read about it, and they went out and got married. There was people out there. There was people out there. And I want y'all to get this. When the Most High God gives us Torah, and he selects us for a certain reason, it's important, because these are going to be Moab and Ammon. These are going to be enemies of Israel. And you're going to see the wild and crazy thinking that they have as a nation of people. Right? And you don't want to believe that things like this can be genetically passed down, but they can be.
100%.
But they can be. Can be. Thank God for not Naomi is her name, right? No, Ruth, who was the Moabite princess, the forefather of David. What some sense resonated in her, and I'm not trying to condemn the whole ethnic group. What I'm saying is that you can see easily how things could be passed down, and even though it may be genetic, it has a lot to do with how you think. The decisions that you make. You know, your father was just ready to give you away. Your father was tarrying and waiting to see what's going on and didn't want to leave when he was supposed to leave. And now you're worried that the whole earth is gone and we have to preserve seed of our father. Who told you that that was your responsibility?
Right.
You take it upon yourself, and then you go, you get him drunk. If you got to get him drunk to do the deed, then you shouldn't do the deed. That's something you got to think about. And then what bugged me out is it happened twice. He happened with both girls. So I'm like, but I want that to resonate, that the things we do affect those that are around us. So you just can't go and make a decision on your own and think it's going to be good for everybody and healthy for everybody. It don't work that way. Tumshi.
And it came to pass on the morrow that the firstborn said unto the younger, Behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go thou in and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night also. And the younger arose and lay with him, and he knew not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. And the firstborn bore a son and called his name Moab. The same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger she also bore a son and called his name Ben-Ami. The same is the father of the children of Ammon unto this day.
Another lesson, brothers and sisters, especially sisters. Brothers too, wait on the Most High God.
Yes.
You see what happens when you don't. You make bad decisions. Real bad decisions. 22. Let's do 20. No, let's not even do 20. I'm going to give you 20. So, go into that portion in the Apocrypha. He's going to do a portion in Ecclesiasticus, the Apocrypha, chapter 19, verse 27 to 30, if you have it and you want to follow along, but he's going to read it by himself.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 19, verse 27.
Before he goes it, so that I'm just going to read a portion, but the context is really about people who pretend to be something that they're not to get away with things. I come to you with a certain character, like I'm innocent and I didn't do anything wrong, and you know that you did something wrong. Or you come before a court situation and you're pleading a case knowing that you violated or did something wrong to another person. So it's going to go into the whole process. I'm not going to give you the part before, so that I can go into the part that I really want to pick out in that portion. Tumshi.
You got to kind of start from 26.
Psalm 26.
Just read it just to make sure this is the right one.
No, it is.
All right.
It is.
Ecclesiasticus,
in the Apocrypha, chapter 19,
verse 26.
And we're going to read it on out.
There is a wicked man that hangeth down his head sadly, but inwardly he is full of deceit.
I mean, she's acting like he's innocent and he didn't do nothing, and but in his heart, he's tricking. He's tricking you. He's presenting a certain image that's not him. Tell me.
Casting down his countenance and making as if he heard not. Where he is not known, he will do thee a mischief before thou be aware.
You don't know his reputation. Mm-hmm. So he can fool you because he don't know the stuff that you did in the past. Tell me.
And if for want of power he be hindered from sinning, yet when he findeth opportunity, he will do evil. A man may be known by his look.
His look, his countenance, his face. Right? You know him by this, and he's smiling one day and he's ice-cold the next. They always show in the movie. I remember Malcolm X, right? When Spike Lee did the movie, because you read the Judas Factor, and you had people that was Malcolm security, that was police spies and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So there was a part in the movie where the soldier did like this, and his eyes got big at the end. And he was like, "That's one of the bad guys. That's one of the bad guys." And you read about who he was supposed to be, but the movies always try to show you that character. That he's in the face of the people acting like being one thing, but in reality, he's setting somebody up.
And one that have understanding by his countenance, when thou meetest him. A man's attire and excessive laughter and gait show what he is.
His attire. Mm-hmm. The way people dress show you how they are.
Talk about it.
His laughter. How he laughs. And y'all may think this is funny, but I don't laugh around everybody. Everybody ain't my friend. Because there's some people that laugh with you, there's some people that laugh at you. And sometimes we don't always know the difference. His gait, how he bow, how he walk. Mm-hmm. Yo, that's Jamel. Mm-hmm. Friday's funny. Debo is a person, you saw him coming. Mm-hmm. You got people that's like that. You know their character or how they move. What's the last one?
That was it.
No, it said gate, and that was
and it says, a man's attire and excessive laughter and gait show what he is.
Show what he is. So with this whole process, right? The reason why I'm just going to do 20 is because you got to remember, Abraham is in 20. He's dealing with the same situation twice. He had to deal with Pharaoh taking his wife, right? Because she was fine. She was an Angela Bassett. She was one of those. Black don't crack. That's what it was.
Yes.
And people get, yo, Pharaoh. Brothers. Pharaoh be like, look at this man like, we don't even got to talk. Most communication is non-verbal. Like, y'all know what time it is. Abraham was in trouble. And Abraham, conscious man, knew the environment that he was in, knew that these people don't serve God and they're willing to do anything for anything. Same thing here. He journeyed in this land between Kadesh and Shur, right? Which is very close to Eretz Israel, the land of Israel proper. But Kadesh is where they had the big war at, whatever the case may be. It's near the desert. And he was there. The leader there was a man called Abimelech, right? And he was going to press for Sarah. Even though you read the stuff about Sarah being old and dry and stuff like that, whatever it was, she still looked good. She still got it. Mm-hmm. I still got it. They still wanted her. Whatever it was. And it put Abraham in these situations where he's often in trouble and had to get himself out of there. So, long story short, obviously they wound up making a pact with one another because of the situation. And then they wound up drinking through the night, making sure that they keep covenant with one another and not to violate one another in this situation. Tamshi. Start at 22.
Chapter 22?
Yeah. 21, we're dealing with the exile of Hagar and Ishmael. I just want to explain certain things. It was hard for Abraham to get rid of his son, but oftentimes we think the way we think, and it was his wife that was right. She was 100% right, because Isaac was the child of promise, not Ishmael. Okay, you got a son, that's nice. Congratulations, Abraham, but that's not what I promised you. I promised you a son with your wife, not the handmaid, right? Because the miracle is going to happen with them. We don't question that you still working. You still got it. We got it. We got that part. But the miracle is in the fact that your wife who's barren is going to come back to life. And y'all going to have a child together. So the important part was also, this is a sad thing to say, but in a lot of these instances, sometimes the women will sponsor the attitude of the children. And what Sarah saw clearly was that her son will never be the man he needs to be around Ishmael. Because he will respect his older brother, but his older brother will always be downing him, doing this, doing that, because of the animosity that his mother had. So we want to make sure that, hey, when she said what she said, she was right. Because sometimes people can't reach their greatness because they got people that want to rival them in every situation that they have. So sometimes that separation needs to be there. 22, and let's end it out.
And it came to pass after these things that God did prove Abraham and said unto him, Abraham, and he said, Here am I. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son, whom thou lovest, even Yitzchak, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of.
So he told them, take your son, your only son. That means that this is the only son that mattered at this time. Sounds cruel, but this was the one that mattered. Tamshi.
And Abraham rose early in the morning and saddled his ass and took 2 of his young men with him, and Yitzchak his son, and he cleaved the wood for the burnt offering and rose up and went unto the place of which God had told him.
This is a funny thing. You see the contrast between him and his nephew. His nephew is his nephew's being told to leave somewhere that will save his life. And he's still lingering and pleading to go to another place that's close by. Abraham is being told to kill his only son, and you hear no argument out of Abraham's mouth whatsoever.
No stalling.
No stalling, no hesitation. He said he went and gathered the wood. And whatever happens, Abraham is confident in God. I'm not telling you that Abraham knew that the child was going to be saved. Some people say stuff like that, whatever. What I'm telling you is that sometimes that mind state that we need to develop is that God giveth and God taketh away. Blessed be his name. Because he gave it to me and I didn't deserve it. He gave me the whole idea of having a son when I thought that I would never have children. He gave my wife a child and brought her back. So in that instance, sometimes men don't count their blessings. They just thinking about the loss. He thought about the value of the experience of having a son and knowing that he loved this boy. And this boy was a gift from God, but God is asking for the gift back. He could have it because God is that great. That's Abraham's thinking. Because God is that great. That whatever good thing that he gave me, if I had to get rid of it or give it back, God is that great that he can take whatever he gave me back. Because who am I? Tamshi.
And on the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder.
Set the whole thing up so he don't look crazy. See, y'all stay here. You know, he got the young men too, like the warriors. Y'all stay here. Me and my son, we're going to go in further, and we're going to take care of this ourselves. Tamshi.
And we will worship and come back to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son. He took in his hand the fire and the knife, and they went both of them together. And Yitzchak spoke unto Abraham his father and said, My father. And he said, Here am I, my son. And he said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where's the lamb for a burnt offering?
Yeah, Isaac. Yeah, I was like, Abba. Yeah, you know, he's being the wise child that he is, we did the offerings before. I'm not stupid. I saw my father do offerings a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
Abba, yeah. I see everything else happening. See the thing, firewood, whatever. I said, where's the offering? Because, we got like a whole bunch of sheep and cattle, and we didn't bring nothing with us. You know what I'm saying? Like, Abraham was rich in that. So I'm like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tamshi.
And Abraham said, God will provide himself the land for a burnt offering, my son. So they went both of them together, and they came to the place which God had told him of. And Abraham built the altar there and laid the wood in order and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son.
Stop there. Isaac didn't run away. Isaac didn't snuff his father. Because regardless, even with your parents, self-preservation is key. It's instinctual. It's something that we can't avoid. So it's like, okay, I'm being bound. I'm being blindfolded. Being laid down. You know what? My father trusts God. I trust God. Regardless of what it was. So that character, and you see the character that he transferred to his son.
Yes.
The character that Lot transferred to his daughters was a totally different thing. The character that Abraham transferred to his son, whatever it was, it got to a point where he got the point. Where he didn't see no sacrifice, whatever, and he knew, okay, it's it for me, but torah YAH. I got a father that loved me. I praise God. I did things in my life, whatever the case. Time to go. And the thing is, he didn't offer up no resistance. When you beat kids, they offer resistance.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even to beat, kids be like throwing all over the place and trying to hold the belt. He's about to get up out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, God calls out to this man. And I don't know if it was a sense of relief, because in Abraham's mind, Isaac was already dead.
Yeah.
But I know for both of them, it was a reassurance that God is in their affairs, that God is real, and that, hey, Abraham, I'm still your friend. At the end of the day, I'm still your friend. Right? You show me that you're willing to do whatever for me. And I asked you to do something that I wouldn't ask you to do, but I stayed your hand. Because if God didn't say nothing, it would have been a wrap. Abraham may have felt a certain way about it, but he wasn't flinching. He wasn't showing any ambiguity or conflict in his spirit. He was not conflicted. He was not conflicted. He didn't look back. He didn't go and say, well, I don't know, man, I'm hesitating because I don't think this is the right thing, or whatever the case may be. It's what God asked for. And with all the stuff that God has shown you and given you, he's asking you for something small. And you say, well, how is Isaac small? To the heights of the life that Abraham was being promised, to be a father of many nations and everything that was going on. I'm asking you for something small. I'm asking you to give me back what I gave you. Tamshi.
And the angel of Yahweh called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thy hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him, for now I know that thou art a God-fearing man, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in the thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. And Abraham called the name of that place Adonai Yireh, as it is said to this day. And the mount where Yahweh is seen, and the angel of Yahweh called unto Abraham a second time out of heaven and said, By myself have I sworn, saith Yahweh, because thou hast done this thing and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore. And thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast hearkened to my voice.
So the thing that we look at is the fact that, he went to sacrifice his son and stuff. No, it's the fact that he didn't withhold the most precious thing in his life. His promise. He didn't withhold it. It means that if God gave it to him, God gave this to me. So if I can give it back, I'll give it back. That's the relationship, that's the friendship that they had, that, hey, you gave me something that was so sweet, precious. You know what happens when you promised a son, and he came out to be a son, and you look at your boy, and you like, man, and you can see, you already see yourself in him, and you looking at God's promise, and God asks for it back. Most of us, we don't give our kids to the police. We hesitate to give our kids to anybody. We hesitate to get our kids watched. You know, we hesitate. If you value a child, you're like, wow, this is precious. Yeah, Isaac was spoiled, but he was supposed to be spoiled. He was born spoiled. God spoiled him. God spoiled this young man. He was like, listen, this boy, and then I'm giving him up. I give him up with no hesitation because it has nothing to do with Isaac. This is my relationship with you. Right. This is how much I value you. This is how much I value all the things you've done for me. You kept me safe from Ur to Iran to Egypt to back home in Kadesh. You kept me safe. You protected me. Gave me the power. Made me rich. You did all those things for me, the Most High God. You gave me all my sons. So whatever I sacrifice to you is in value. There's nothing I can really give you to show you my appreciation. So that's why I say this is a small thing. And God says to him, because you showed that you didn't withhold. I do for you, and you asked me for $5. He's like, I don't got it right now, bro. You know what I'm saying? These are kind of things. I just gave you $500 last week. Right. But you know, that's on a human level. But on the Most High level, who sustains us in this, the comparison is this. God asks us for little things. The commandments in the Torah benefits us more than it benefits God. But he asks us to keep it, and that's all you decide that even with the stuff that goes on in your life, you're withholding back from that. You're withholding back from keeping Shabbat, eating right, doing certain things, with all the things that God gives you. Don't you know how many parasites, I'm going to tell you something small. You know how many parasites and bacteria out in the world that can destroy us right now? But whatever happens, God protects us from those things.
Torah, yeah.
We live in a society where we can get arrested, locked up with the key going away at any given moment. There's people that were Black Panthers that are still in jail right now without charges. At any given time. They come to your house to do a Sandra Bland and what's the name? The girl that got killed. They do that all the time. Everything don't make the Breonna Taylor. Everything don't make the news.
That's right.
So God is on his job protecting us, and all he asks us is to love him with all our heart, soul, and might by keeping his law. Right. And by that, we got to respect and love one another. Right. Well, it's a small thing that he asked for the sacrifice. So when they read this and you call it the binding, because Isaac was bound, that means that was greater than Isaac being bound. Abraham was showing that he's bound to his God. This is my level of commitment to God, that I'm going to take this boy and I'm going to sacrifice him. And that should be our level of commitment to God as individuals. We have to be bound to the Most High God. Bound. Bound to his Torah. Bound. Committed to a point where nothing could turn us back. And you know what? You don't got to be mean about it. Some people think that keeping Torah, you got to be some type of hobbit, hermit, animal, whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? Distant from the world. Your light, because you're supposed to be a light, is supposed to shine in everybody's face. Right. But if you're doing it right, people won't be hurt by it. Of course, wicked people are always offended because wicked people are offended by everything. But when you're doing this right, people see your light. People see that you mean something. People grab you. They want to have conversations with you. They want to talk with you. You want to talk to them. Because what you do is beyond what you are. It's bigger than yourself. It's bigger than us. It's bigger than my reputation. It's bigger than my ego. It's bigger than, I want to be popular amongst the people in Israel. It's bigger than that. Mm-hmm. God has showed us his greatness, and we have to show God's glory to the masses in return.
That's right.
Tamshi.
So Abraham returned unto his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beer-sheba, and Abraham dwelt at Beer-sheba. And it came to pass after these things that it was told Abraham, saying, Behold, Milcah, she also hath borne children unto thy brother Nachor, Uz his firstborn, and Buz his brother, and Kemuel the father of Aram, and Kesed and Chazot, and Pildash and Yidlaf, and Betuel begot Rivkah. These 8 did Milcah bear to Nachor, Abraham's brother. And his concubine, whose name was Reumah, she also bore Teba and Gatkam and Takash and Ma'aka. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Before I leave, I always want to think about whether Isaac said something to somebody. I always wonder if he told his Ima. Like, Ima. I wonder if he told the youngin, because I wonder if he just held it down, like, but this is our secret. Part of me believes that they held it down and they didn't tell nobody what happened. Thanking the Most High God for all things and everything. Amen. Thanking Him for your lives. Thanking the Most High for being the Most High. Hoping and praying you got something that was worth for. Sorry, I took us a little bit over, but I had to get these points out. Thanking the Most High God once again. Torah YAH for all things and everything. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.